Okay, we're recording now. And the quiz is up there. All right, now notice with me, everybody, those of you that are watching the recording and those of you that are live right now. Notice there are 11 answers on the left. There are only nine statements or equations or whatever the situation is on the right. So two of the things on the left are not going to go over, okay? And there's only one answer for each question. So I've given hints by underlining and putting in bold print on both sides, suggestions. I use the definitions from this other book because I think it'll give you a little variety and a perspective. But two of the answers that aren't used are in 7 through 11. Those, now notice I'm also not going to call those equations, because if I said an equation, that needs two sides of the equal sign, and none of those have that. Okay, so if I ever ask you for an equation or you tell me you're giving an equation, make sure you've got both sides. Those down there are not. Only 5 of those fit over to the right. Excuse me, there's 5. Only 3 of those are answers to the questions on the right. Now, look with me. I'm not going to tell you those, but I am going to look at some of the other stuff, okay? Like at the top, you'll notice that for intermediate value theorem, the things that are underlined are min, max, over on the right, between, and mean. Between seems to fit pretty nicely into that intermediate value theorem. And notice what the theorem's saying. It's B. Let B be continuous on a closed bounded interval and let Y be any number in between. Then for some C between A and B, the function equals Y. So there, it's saying that the function takes on that value somewhere on that interval. If it's continuous on that interval, it's got to be. That is what the intermediate value theorem is saying. That betweenness is, that matches that. So putting a 1 in front of the B would be the correct answer, okay? And number 2, the biggest hint, we didn't talk much about the mean value theorem early. It was real early in the semester and it talked about it. I kind of alluded to this. The text did one of these problems, but we didn't dwell on it. But I just said, looks mean, eh? And that's a hint that that could correspond to mean on the left, okay? That it just looks mean type thing, you know? So if you want to look at that, you're welcome to. You probably see that a little bit later in future calc, but, and then extreme value theorem, it's saying that if f is continuous on a closed bounded interval, then it's got to have a max and it's got to have a min, okay? Now up there at A should be 3. Extreme corresponds to max and min. Okay, now the chain rule, you'll know, that's over there, one of those. The fundamental theorem of calculus, you know, we haven't used this quite this equation for the area function, but there's only one area A sub f of x over there. So that's a big hint, okay? That should get number 5. Chain rule, pick it out. And then for the last 5, you got to look at the equation on the right. Or sometimes it's just a relationship that's shown, like the antiderivatives, E and I. It's not an equation. It's an integral in both cases. But you just need to pick what the answer is. So I'm not going to give the answer out to D, E, or I. Do those, you guys. This is worth 20 points, and I think putting your name on it, I'm going to ask you to upload this, okay? So make sure you spell your name right. It'll be worth 2 points, okay? Because there's only 9, and it's 2 points apiece. So take your time and make sure you stop and think about, do I add a C? Do I keep the E? What do I do here? What's going on? So take a look at D, E, and I, and pick the right corresponding number and put that in front of the letter you got there. And that's going to be the quiz worth 20 points, okay? So anybody that's catching this from recording, again, make sure you're looking at it and take your time and stop and think about, what do you do when you integrate? What do you do when you take the derivative? You've got to be mindful of the difference, that type of situation, okay? Oh, also, you guys, when I stop, when I finish this with the quiz, I'm going to stop in just a few minutes. So don't think it's going to be there forever. Okay. So be finished, try to finish it up now, and you can upload it as soon as you want. But it's not due until this evening. Okay. So if you want to take your time and do something else, feel free. But if you can finish it right now and upload it, you'll be done with it. Okay. But in a minute, when I stop this, I'm going to stop the recording, and this will be one separate recording for quiz 5. And then I'll have another recording as we review for the test, okay? For the final. Any other questions coming up at all? Try to finish those up, and the 3 with underlinings, A, B, and F, I think we've gone through, you've got those. The area function, there's only one A of F, A sub F of X down there on the right. That's got to be for 5. And then you've got the chain rule number 4 and the fundamental theorem of calculus. Make sure you read through and make sure it makes sense, that fits. And then I would go through D, E, and I, and don't worry about all the 5 on the left. See what the answer is on the right. Okay? Okay, anybody else have any other questions at all? Well, listen, try to upload that. And even as soon as we get off here or whatever, if you don't upload it right now, just do it as soon as you can. Get it done, get it over with, and it'll be 20 points is the goal, all right? This is intended to be to replace your lowest quiz. There were a couple of you that missed a quiz or really bombed a quiz or something, and I wanted to have at least one that would replace for those that have that situation. And for those of you that don't have that situation, then this could just be a 20 for you, okay? So I hope it to be. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave the screen with that, and I'm going to stop the recording and go to I want to stay online though and talk with you about the final.